The purpose of this video is to familiarize you with the Waterleak X Systems detection and reporting components and give you step-by-step guidance for the installation of the devices. While it may be easier to pair and set up the components side by side before installing them, this video will go through the procedures for pairing, placement, and range testing during installation. If you elect to prepare the units prior to install, we recommend you simply plug them into the low voltage power and to the facility network after installing batteries. The Central Control Unit, or CCU, Valve Control Unit, or VCU, and Water Detection Units, or WDUs, all require non-rechargeable lithium batteries only. No other batteries should be used in this system. The batteries provide a backup power supply in the event of a power outage. The user's guide should be read completely to understand all of the battery information, including the battery life tracker, which is unique to our systems. To set the battery tracker, install batteries in the central control unit. Press and hold down the test and cancel buttons at the same time while turning on the power switch. Hold the test and cancel buttons until the LEDs blink on and off. You will hear 2 beeps followed by 8 beeps. This confirms the tracker is set. Repeat the process for the valve control unit. Install the batteries. Press and hold down the test and cancel buttons at the same time while turning on the power switch. Hold the test and cancel buttons until the LEDs blink on and off. You'll hear 2 beeps followed by 8 beeps. This confirms the tracker is set. If you're adding one or more of the optional signal repeater temperature sensors, or SRTSs, follow the same steps by installing a non-rechargeable lithium battery and setting the battery tracker. You do not need to set the battery tracker on the water detection units since they have built-in tracker technology to report battery usage, which is automatically reset when new batteries are installed. There is one electric water shutoff valve provided with the basic system. The best way to start the installation is to install the electric water valve. The existing mechanical valve is normally located in the utility area. The electric water shutoff valve, or WSV, should be installed downstream of the existing manual water shutoff valve in the home or facility. If you're planning to install a second valve to be used as a relief valve, they're available for 1-inch plumbing. If your home or facility requires larger valves, a 1.5-inch version is also available. Installing a relief valve will release the remaining water pressure to eliminate additional water being driven to a leak point. The relief valve is installed in a T, downstream of the first electric shutoff valve. Its cord should be plugged into the valve control unit port labeled Relief. A hose should be routed from the relief valve to a standpipe or drain. Once installed, the drain should be checked to ensure it can handle the flow rate coming from the valve. In the case of a well setup, the valve provided with the basic system kit is the only valve needed. It is simply mounted in a T before or after the well tank. We recommend the valve installation be done by a qualified licensed plumber. Again, any relief valve used is plugged into the relief port on the valve control unit. Also, when the facility is fed by a well, the well pump needs to be controlled for shutting off the water supply. We offer an optional solid-state relay that simply plugs into the valve control unit and is wired into the well circuit. A cable is provided for that task, which is plugged into the pump relay port on the valve control unit. The solid-state relay is required to be installed in an enclosed metal junction box with the relay's metal plate secured to the metal box for heat dissipation. The low-voltage wiring instructions are easy to follow. However, we recommend a licensed electrician do this portion of the installation since the high-voltage side of the relay is wired into the well circuit to shut down the pump when a leak occurs. The valve control unit should be mounted in a location close to the installed electronic water shutoff valve or optional release valves or well relay. Using the template, mount the valve control unit on the wall close enough so the cords from the valves and relay will reach. Plug the cord from the water shutoff valve into the port labeled Water Shutoff. If you're installing a relief valve, plug its cord into the port labeled Relief. If using a well relay, plug the cord into the port labeled Pump Relay. With a well setup, you'll plug the solid-state relay into the pump relay port on the valve control unit. The solid-state relay will first shut off the well pump, and then the valve will open to relieve pressure in the water line. When the water is turned back on, the valve will be closed first. Then the relay will turn on the well pump. To test, turn on the power to the valve control unit and press Water Off to ensure the valve or valves are working. Then press Turn Water On to confirm normal operating mode. The next step is to pair the Central Control Unit, or CCU, with the Valve Control Unit, or VCU. Press and hold the pair button on the Central Control Unit and release it after you hear 3 beeps. You'll see all lights flashing, indicating a scanning and pairing mode. Now press the Enter button on the Valve Control Unit. The lights will stop scanning on the Central Control Unit, indicating the pairing is complete. The LCD display will also indicate the pairing is complete. The Central Control Unit should be located where it can be plugged into the facility network, as central to the facility being monitored as possible. To test the reception between the Central Control Unit and the Valve Control Unit, put the Central Control Unit into range testing mode. Press and hold the test button and release it after you hear 7 beeps. Now put the Valve Control Unit in test mode by pressing and holding the test button, releasing it after you hear 4 beeps. You'll see the leak indication light flashing every 2 seconds on the Central Control Unit. This confirms a strong signal between the 2 controllers. If the signal is weak or not coming through, then a signal repeater will be required, which is discussed later in this video. To cancel the testing mode, press the cancel buttons on both units. Now, pair the water detection units with the Central Control Unit by pressing and holding the pair button on the CCU and release it after you hear 3 beeps. Then press and release the test button on the water detection unit to pair it with the Central Control Unit. The pairing lights will stop scanning, indicating they are paired, and the LCD will now ask you to enter information about where the sensor will be located. Scroll to the state of your choice using the up and down arrows and press the Enter button to select. The LCD display will then ask for additional information. To select, scroll up or down for the options. After each selection, press the Enter button to enter the data. You can pair up to a total of 49 additional sensors and repeaters if they are needed. As you pair the sensors, enter the details into the water detection unit location log in the user's guide and write the corresponding number on the back of the unit. This allows for ease in placement. After completing the pairing and documentation process, press and release the test button on the water detection unit. The blue LED will flash on the Central Control Unit, indicating they are paired properly. Place the water detection units in their respective locations and test for signal transmittal and reception by the Central Control Unit. To activate the WDU test mode, press and hold the test button and listen for 4 beeps. This locks it in the test mode, sending a signal every 5 seconds. The blue light will flash on the Central Control Unit, indicating it's receiving this signal. To end the test mode, press and release the test button on the water detection unit. This test should be done at every water detection unit location. Should you have difficulty getting a signal over long distance or encounter other restrictions, a signal repeater temperature sensor, or SRTS, may be required. To add an SRTS to increase the signal between the central and valve control units, first pair the signal repeater temperature sensor with the Central Control Unit. Press and hold the pair button on the CCU and release it after you hear 3 beeps. You'll see all lights flashing, indicating it is scanning in pairing mode. Now press the test button on the signal repeater temperature sensor. This will pair communications from the Central Control Unit to the SRTS. Next, do the same in reverse to pair them to communicate in the other direction, from the SRTS to the Central Control Unit. Put the signal repeater temperature sensor in pairing mode by pressing and holding the pair button, listening for 3 beeps before releasing it. All lights begin to scan, indicating it's in pairing mode. Then, press the test button on the Central Control Unit. Now, they're both paired in sending and receiving directions. To test, press the test button on the CCU and you'll see the green data light flash on the SRTS. When pressing the test button on the SRTS, you'll see the blue indicator light blink off briefly on the CCU. Now pair the signal repeater temperature sensor to communicate with the valve control unit. Press and hold the pair button on the SRTS, releasing it after hearing 3 beeps. All lights begin to scan, indicating it's in pairing mode. Press and release the test button on the valve control unit and the two will pair. It's only necessary to pair the VCU in one direction, to receive. To confirm the pairing, press and release the test button on the valve control unit and the green data light will flash on the SRTS. The first sensor repeater temperature sensor to be installed will be the primary SRTS, which will monitor temperature at the location it is placed, sending information to the CCU so it can notify you if temperatures reach either the low or high extremes programmed. You set the temperature thresholds on the central control unit. Press and hold the test button on the CCU, waiting until you hear 4 beeps before releasing it to open the menu. Using the up and down arrows, scroll through the menu to find and select the temperature settings. Press the Enter button once you've made your selections. Now, pair any water detection units one at a time that will rely on the signal repeater temperature sensor. Put the SRTS in pairing mode by pressing and holding the pair button, listening for 3 beeps before releasing it. Then, press and release the test button on the water detection unit. The lights stop scanning, indicating they are paired. Additional signal repeater temperature sensors can be used to repeat signals from additional water detection units. These non-primary SRTSs are only paired to the water detection units and not paired to the control units, since they only pass along the WDU signal. The water detection units relying on non-primary repeaters are only paired with the central control unit and the repeater they rely on to pass their signal. Once the entire system has been installed, paired, and tested for range, we recommend an activation test be performed for each water detection unit triggered in their location. This will confirm the setup is working and all signals are reaching the valve control unit. Now you can configure the central control unit for text notifications. Press and hold the test button, waiting until you hear 4 beeps before releasing it to open the menu. The first option is Texting Setup. Press and release the Enter button to access the sub-menu. Scroll up or down to select your cell carrier, then press Enter to select. Scroll up or down to find the desired numbers, then press Enter to accept. Do the same after each digit. Up to 3 carriers and cell numbers can be stored. Once each phone number is in place, press and hold the Enter button until you hear 1 beep, confirming that the information was accepted. We recommend reading the user's guide for detailed information on each of the subjects discussed in this video. Our hope is that we've given you a better sense of how easy it is to install, pair, set up, and use Waterleak X Systems. Your system is now ready to work for you, whether you're asleep or away. You're now ready to receive text messages which will include all the information entered into the water detection units, turn off the water supply, and save you the heartache of a catastrophic water leak. Waterleak X Systems, giving you peace of mind.